It's Nick here for Into Boxing. I am delighted to be joined by Azeem Smith. First of all, Adam, how are we?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good. Rested from a little break after Saudi, and delighted to be back here in Liverpool. I'm a big Red, so it's fantastic to be at Anfield today. What a night last night it was, and with the derby on Saturday, and then the big fight night in the evening. Yeah, it's a terrific time to be on Merseyside. So yeah, thrilled to be back. Really excited about Liam Smith returning on Sky Sports and getting his career reignited in Britain after that fantastic win over Jesse Vargas. And Natasha Jonas going from strength to strength. It's unification time. All she wanted to do was win a world title, because of course she works with us now on the punditry side, the commentary side. She's doing brilliantly. But listen, she's got more goals, and she's got a very big fight on Saturday. So excited about that. And Azeem and Frazer Clark and a bunch of great local fighters. It should be a really, really good night and a great start to our autumn on Sky.
It's got something for everyone, this card, but let's start with Liam Smith if we can. You just touched on it there, obviously, back on Sky Sports. How did that come about?
Well, I think there was an opportunity, and when there's opportunities, we look at everything. Ben Shalom signed him up, and we took him back on Sky. Obviously, he's been on other channels. He's been in some fantastic fights along the way. Liam, he's never in a dull one, is he? Former world champion, of course, and as I said, that great win on the undercard of the big Katie Taylor Amanda Serrano night that they had for the Zone in the Garden a few months ago. And Liam is in a place in his career where there's a possibility of signing him up and sort of welcoming him back to Sky Sports. We haven't always had Liam. We've had a big relationship with Paul, obviously, and with Stephen back in the day, and with Callum. But Liam, I think, is the one that's sort of done his own thing, and he's been very successful. So I'm delighted. You know, he's worked with Frank, he's worked with Eddie, he's now with Ben, and we hope to deliver him some really big fights at this stage of his career, because that's what he wants. And of course, it'd have been lovely if we got him in with Chris Eubank straight away, but Eubank's got other business against Conor Benn, so let's see what happens there. And I'm sure Liam, if he comes through against Marquinhos on Saturday night, which is a dangerous fight. We saw what happened with the Sam Eggington night when Marquinhos came up, and he's got nothing to lose. He's on an unbeaten run. It's Liam's homecoming after some trips abroad. I think he was unlucky on one of those occasions as well out in Russia. So look, he's back, and very excited to have him back on Sky. He's a great fighter. He's a great guy. He's a big Red. He's from a fantastic family. The Smith brothers are legendary around these parts and in the UK. And I think there's some real momentum for Liam after the Jesse Vargas victory, and I think he can go on to big things in the next 2 or 3 years, and we're going to be right behind him.
As you say there, Marquinhos, big puncher, 14 KOs in his 20 victories.
He is a big puncher, and he's not had a big fight for a while, so he's really got nothing to lose, and he'll want to upset the apple cart here and try and take out Liam Smith. So I expect it to be very, very high octane early, but I think Liam's class will see him through, and then we can look at the Eubank situation and the world title picture and plot the next move.
Natasha Jonas in a unification fight, Patricia Burgle, WBC champion.
Good fighter. Like, she's come up. Natasha had to come up. How many weight divisions? 2, 3 weight divisions to win her world title. And as I said to you, that was what she asked us. She said she wants to be a world champion. She was so close against Terry Harper. Many of us believe she won that fight. Again, she gave everything against Katie Taylor. I mean, 2 phenomenal fights with Katie. I was there in the Olympics when it was just one of the best atmospheres I've ever experienced. And then she very nearly pipped her in Manchester. Katie just pulled it out of the bag in the last sort of 4 minutes, really, I think. So she's been so close, and then she had her great night again in Manchester on the Calmbrook night. So that was fantastic that she became a world champion. Single mom, we know the story. Nikita Paris, of course, helping the Lionesses to storm the Euros, or the world, really. It was the Euros, but it felt like the world. And fantastic. And I think it's great having Tasha on in a unification this week, ahead of our biggest night ever for women's boxing, with a full card at the O2, topped by, obviously, the big Savannah Marshall-Clarissa Shields match. And we've got Michaela Mayer over, and Alicia Baumgarten, and Lauren and Caris and Caroline. It's just great for Tasha to have her own stage in Liverpool amongst her people. I mean, I battled her a bit about it. You know, we had a lot of conversations. I said, I really want you to be in London on the huge women's night because you're elite. And then she was like, but it's Liverpool, and she loves this city so much, and she feels at home fighting here. And I think we'll have her as a broadcaster next week, and I'm sure she'll deliver the goods on Saturday night. But it's a tough fight. You know, Patricia is unbeaten. She's got a win over Hannah Rankin, and there was all the talk of whether it would be the Battle of Britain between Tasha and Hannah. That didn't happen, so she's actually fighting someone who beat Hannah, and also has an amateur win over Lauren Price too. So she's good, and you know, Tasha's got her work cut out on Saturday night, but she wouldn't want it any other way.
Got a big domestic clash on the card for the British light heavyweight title between Dan Azeez and Shakhan Pitters. These domestic titles, the fights keep delivering for you.
Really good fight, and Dan Azeez is a great story for boxer. He's come up the sort of quiet route, the old-fashioned route. He wants to do everything properly. Got the big pull-up stocks, hasn't he, a la his hero Hagler. You've got to love Dan Azeez and what he's doing and putting his name on the map. And we want to see him in the big fights against, I don't know, the likes of Joshua Boazzi and Callum Johnson and Anthony Yard and those sort of fights. But this is a really interesting fight. You know, Pitters is very good. He's awkward. He's tall. It's a fight we've wanted to place for a while, and I think it's perfect for this card because you've got a lot of locals, and then you've got these two, and I think it's going to be, it's a British title fight. These English and British title fights often steal the boxer shows, and we've got a sort of who's who along the sort of top of it, and then we're going on air with this British title fight, which is fantastic, and it'd be great to see if Dan can keep going or whether, you know, Pitters can spoil it, and he could do because he's good.
It's a great fight. Adam Azeem also on the card. The man who everyone's backing for big things in boxing just seems to go from one fight to the next and come through. Looks like the pressure doesn't get to him whatsoever. Unbelievable talent.
Unbelievable talent. We had him down at Lord's on Tuesday night for the 100, and he's a big Liverpool fan, so he'll be delighted to be at Anfield today. He's begging me to get him tickets for the Merseyside derby and going even on fight day. So he's looking to really sort of branch out across the sports, so we can push him. His boxing's doing the talking in the ring, but if we can get him known in the cricket world, where he's a big fan, and in the football world, then that's going to just elevate him. You know, we remember how Ricky Hatton associated himself with Man City and how much that helped his career. I'd like Adam to do the same with Liverpool. As I said, he's a big supporter, and he wants to be involved, and he's just a fantastic young, bright talent, and I look at Shane McGuigan and what he's done with so many fighters over the years. He's in really good hands with Shane, and I think he's in excellent hands with Ben and Boxer, and obviously he's got the Sky Sports platform. So one step at a time always for the young prospects, as precocious and as talented as they are coming through. They're only as good as their last performance. So let's just keep it going with Adam, keep the momentum, keep him busy. But I'm very excited about him. I think he's going to go all the way.
Let's switch up to the heavyweights. Frazer Clark, last time out, stopped Ariel Bracamonte. Another great performance, out nice and quickly. Is that key for Frazer? Get some activity behind him.
Another great performance in studio, I thought, on the Usyk Joshua night as well. What a pundit he's turning into. He's been fantastic for us on that side, but of course in the ring again is where he wants to perform. He wants to be the heavyweight champion of the world. That's the goal, and he's had a stellar amateur career. We all know his personality, his character, the love of Frazer Clark, rather like I mentioned Ricky Hatton. I think there's not anyone in boxing that dislikes Frazer. He's a great role model. He's a lovely guy to be around. He's a big heavyweight. He's got plenty of ability, plenty of talent. It was a great performance in Bournemouth, and difficult, after the injury. And he'd have been disappointed with AJ not winning in Saudi, but obviously Joshua put up a fantastic performance. And they've got a great team in Loughborough, and I think that Frazer again, it's a case of getting him out, keeping him busy. He's not young, so we're going to have to move him fairly quickly, but he's a heavyweight, so he's got time. And what a heavyweight division it is. You know, the likes of what we got coming up, Parker and Joyce, Andy Ruiz and Luis Ortiz on the worldwide stage. There's, you know, talk obviously now of Fury and Usyk. There's so much. There's Dillian White, Daniel Dubois, so many sort of great fights and fighters around now, and Frazer's entering it at the right time. Give him a couple of years, get him up to that sort of level, and we're going to see him in some firecrackers. I mean, if any of you saw him spar with these guys in Sheffield or fight the likes of Joe Joyce, I mean, Frazer is just in some absolute terrific battles. So I think we're going to get some real excitement, some entertainment, and yeah, Frazer's doing everything right, and he's a great role model. And what he said after Bournemouth about the, you know, putting down the knives, especially up here in Liverpool, I think it'll be fantastic what he says, and the difficulties in the city at the moment in the recent few days. And I think that's fantastic to have people like Frazer Clark on our side.
Also very good at football, obviously a great goal on Soccer AM we saw the other day.
It was a great goal, and he hit top bins as well when he came down for his announcement. So yeah, Frazer can play a bit. Liam Smith can play a bit as well. He's a good footballer. So yeah, maybe we'll get them out on the hallowed Anfield turf a little later to show some skills. I'm not sure we'll be allowed, even if there's plenty of Liverpool supporters here, including Ben Shalom.
No, it'd be a great card. Just turning our attentions back to Saudi if we can. Anthony Joshua, obviously, like you alluded to there, putting a great performance against Alexander Usyk, just came up a bit short again. But what does Anthony do now, in your opinion? Obviously, there's still plenty of big fights. It's not the end for Anthony Joshua.
Of course there are, and there always were going to be plenty of big fights. Alexander Usyk, a little bit like Tyson Fury, they're once-in-a-generation fighters. They're natural talents, and although, you know, he's been criticised, Anthony, for what he said afterwards and the emotional rant, I think, you know, that what he was trying to get out, and of course it was a very difficult scenario. He was contemplating what had just happened. He'd had one judge gave him the decision as well. Maybe that had been playing on his mind. I don't think so. I thought Usyk won it and won it handily. However, it was a fantastic performance from AJ. It really was. I thought he was so much better than he was at Tottenham. He really lifted himself. He boxed really well, and absolute no disgrace losing to someone like Alexander Usyk. But what he was sort of saying in the speech afterwards, and it wasn't just about that, you know, he turned late and give him some credit, but he was saying that, you know, Usyk and Fury, they're natural. They've been doing this since they were kids, and I think that's right. I think Anthony has done very, very well in boxing terms. He's a two-time heavyweight champion. What he's done in terms of the sport has been unbelievable, and I think we've got to respect him for that and thank him for everything he's done for this sport and this country in the last 10 years. You know, he's been the poster boy. He's got stadiums filled. It's been absolutely fantastic. He gave a great performance in Saudi. He can definitively come again. I'd like to see him back out fairly quickly. They have to look at sort of who he's going to go in with next. I'd like to see him come back at a level where he's comfortable. He gets a good win, and then he sort of gets in with the likes of your Andy Ruiz is again maybe, and obviously there's that big Deontay Wilder fight out. There's so much out there. As I say, the winner of Joyce Parker, and you know, maybe he can become a three-time heavyweight champion. I think depends on what he wants really, but I think he'll want to get back out, and I think the performance in Saudi proved that he's more than capable of giving us some fantastic battles down the line. But Alexander Usyk was better on the night. He goes into the big fight with Tyson Fury. He's the world heavyweight champion, and congratulations to him and everything that he's done around the situation in Ukraine. He's back there now, which is wonderful to see. He's an absolutely fantastic role model, Alexander Usyk, but then I think AJ is too, and I think people that are getting on his back about the rant afterwards have got to understand that there's a lot of emotion, a lot of pressure involved, and yeah, he's admitted he didn't get it right. I'm not sure how much he remembers of it, but ultimately I think we move on. AJ has been great for us, and of course I and everybody at Sky wish him every success in the future, because he's been absolutely brilliant for us, and I'll be the first to congratulate him if he becomes a world heavyweight champion again. I just like to see him back in the ring, and I think that performance absolutely justifies why he's got so much more to give.
Another fight we mentioned, obviously potential fight for Liam Smith, was a Chris Eubank Jr. fight. He's taken the Conor Benn fight. Just your thoughts on that fight?
Well, it's a huge casual fight, isn't it? It's sort of it's a fight where people are calling me up who don't talk about boxing. So it's a big fight, and everyone's going to be intrigued as to what happens. Chris obviously starts a big favourite. He's got so much in his favour with the weight and the experience. I was quite surprised that Conor took the fight now. I thought maybe it was a fight for down the line. I'd love to have done it with us and built it up, but they felt that they needed to do it now, and maybe it is the right timing. You know, it's a shame we had Chris on Sky, but we'd like to have him back. It would be good to have him in with Liam Smith if he gets through Conor Benn. But you know, Conor will throw everything at Chris. I know both of them very well, and listen, they will give absolutely everything into this fight, as well, of course, the family rivalry and the legendary status of the dads. But they're two fighters in their own right, and yeah, I can't wait for that fight at the O2, and it's on DAZN. It's a shame for us that it wasn't part of Sky Business, but it's a great fight, and you know, Eddie and Calla should be applauded for making it happen. And hopefully we'll get Chris back on Sky afterwards, and I wish them both the best. And let's hope it's a great fight. But I see Chris as a pretty big favourite going in. I think Conor's got it all to do, but yeah, Conor's attitude and his what he's achieved so far, having had very limited amateur experience, is excellent. He keeps improving, so maybe he'll shock the world in October. But yeah, it's a fight for the casuals. It's a fight for. It's a fight that's putting boxing on the map in a different way, a bit like KSI did the other night. So you know, we can't grumble at that. That's great. We've got a big Sky autumn and winter with Boxer and Top Rank. We're very excited. A lot of fights coming up on Top Rank. Many fights coming up with Boxer, and really exciting times. But it's just great to have the whole industry flying, and you know, different sorts of fights and nights around. So yeah, I look forward to that one.
Finally from me, Mustasia, it's transfer deadline day. We're here at Anfield. Liverpool going to do any business? I've seen one possibly going over the line. Yeah,
Milo, I've heard that he's coming, so that's fantastic news. I think the midfield needs a bolstering. I was sort of quietly hoping that one of the guys who's a big boxing fan and a lovely fellow who I speak to every now and again is a guy called Declan Rice, and I wondered if maybe we could break the bank for Declan. But I think you know, listen, he's solid at West Ham. Maybe Chelsea and United have been more linked with Declan Rice, but I was hoping that possibly someone like him could come to Liverpool, because you know, that would be I mean, he's just such an amazing player. But no, I think we've been linked with a few. I think Bellingham and others. I think, look, ultimately, I think we've got to do business today. It's there's a lot of injuries in the squad at the moment. Curtis Jones is only just coming back. Jordan looks like I think that really signed it. I think Klopp said last night that there's a hamstring problem. You know, you just can't depend on your Fabinhos, your Jordans, and your Milner, who's brilliant but aging. And I think we've got to bolster too. We were very lucky last night to get that goal in the 7th, 8th minute of extra time, injury time. So ultimately we got that, and it was a massive 3 points. So I'd like to see some business, and it looks like we're going to.
Still a few hours left of the window. Let's watch this space. Adam, thank you very much for giving Into Boxing some of your time, and hopefully we'll catch up with you throughout fight week.
Absolutely, anytime you want.
Appreciate that. Thank you.